welcome to the first panel session of this morning on the second day of the GCCM, especially in enterprise. And I would like to thank first Sander for sponsoring this session by Experio. We're going to talk about the role of the network in enterprise digital transformation today and tomorrow. What does it mean? What kind of impact does it have? Do we understand it? And what do we need to do? And what else is needed? I'll give the panelists here all a quick minute to introduce themselves to you, and then we're going to listen to a presentation from Daniel. So we're a lot of guys, so we'll try to keep it as short as possible. But trust me, we'll get it done all for you. So thank you. Sander.
Yeah, let me start with the introduction. Good morning, everyone. The similar voice problem, by the way. It's same part. So my name is Sander Warens. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Experio. We provide managed internet access services, enhancement services, and SD-WAN for enterprises. Today, we support roughly 60% of the Fortune 2000. And yeah, looking forward to today's session to see what's on their roadmap for the future.
Good morning. My name is Rene Neumann. I'm working with ZPE Systems. We are a vendor, a product solution provider for managed infrastructure solutions. So we're trying to solve a lot of operational questions, how to operate networks more efficiently, avoid truck rolls, and just in general, how do you operate a network in a more efficient way?
Hello. Hi. My name is Ethan Lawler. I'm head of business development for the UK and Ireland with Enexo. So a little bit non-standard. Enexo are a software integrator who work specifically within the communication space and work with brands such as Experio and Deutsche Telekom in order to do the front end and help actually sell the services that you're talking to providers there. So yeah, that's a little bit for me.
Okay, thank you. Daniel.
Yes, working. Yeah. Hello, my name is Daniel Vishnia. I'm the Chief Digital Transformation Officer in Aroundtown SA. Aroundtown is the third listed biggest real estate company in Europe. We have properties, commercial, residential, and hotels, mainly in Germany and in the Netherlands. My objective is to be one step ahead in technology, and I will share with you some of my thoughts.
Thank you so much. Nicolas?
Good morning to everyone. I'm Nicolas Kramer. I'm at Orquest, a Latin American carrier with headquarters in US and with main focus in automation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Sherman?
Morning, everyone. My name is Sherman. I'm from DC Connect. I'm the CCO of the company. What we do is we run a network of over 1,000 POP globally. We're running it through an ASEAN platform. We do automations, and we are focused mainly in Asia. We're very strong in Southeast Asia. We have a lot of resources there. That's good to have this chance to come here and talk to all the guys and understand a bit more. Thank you.
Thank you, and then thank you all for being here. Now, if I might invite Daniel to the stand to listen to his presentation and to see what you have to share with us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Really a pleasure to be here. Okay, so the introduction is going to be shorter now because I already introduced myself, but I will speak very fast. My job, is to explore. Sorry, thank you very much. Yeah, better. Yeah. So my job is to explore new technologies, to expose them to the company and to the different departments, and to implement and to see what it's cost effective, sustainable, and helps our department and our company to grow. So I was a dyslexic at the age of 14. I had my first computer was like I think all this room, big enough. So I started in a very young age the journey in computers, in software, at the age of 14, as I told you, dyslexic. After 3 months, I already developed the system of managing the school. So it was the first, I'm talking about the 80s, right? So, and today I do it very fast. I'm playing with Match VR and robotics, service robots. I'm even ambassador in TEMI, working very much with AI and computer systems. And I live in the net. I live in the net. This is my water. Today, if you need to understand my journey regarding the network and what we're going to speak today, so I started in the internet for day one, even -1. Already in the 76, I was working with ARPANET in the USA. And then, just at the moment was graphic. I already was working with HTML, JavaScripts, businesses, promoting and exposing websites. And today I'm playing with, my profession and expertise is digital exposure. So this is part of what I do in the company. I'm photographer in Google and working 360, much of Web3 or metaverse. And again, XR, AR, looking one step ahead and see what it's coming 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. And we need, and this is what I will share a little bit with you today. And for sure, the revolution, AI, why and how and what it means for us. And I will try to explain. So what I will share today is really my thoughts on a little bit of futuristic, but I call it futuristic. Future is now, and we will see many things that we thought it was the future. It's happening now, really fast. This graph, I think everybody understands that you're coming. This is not what I feel is your field, but the use of cloud network is jumping, is really jumping, is exponential growth. And this is until 2022, because I want to bring the exact data. And some of them things that you will see today are from 2 weeks ago. So what I'm talking about, 2023 will be a shifting year regarding cloud computing. And why? And for me, it's very easy to understand. There are 4 main points, and I think we will touch it in the panel. But the first one is the increased use of individuals and companies on software or cloud computing. And I'm talking about mainly software as a service, and I'm talking about platforms as a service, and I'm talking about infrastructures as a service. So much more individuals, and we see ourselves with our mobiles and how dependent we are in the network, in the use of this kind of software, and even huge companies. And I'm talking about huge companies that add their what we call IT systems in the tailor-made in their company, are using cloud computing. Secondly, we saw after the pandemic a huge shifting in distant working and distant learning. And this is not going down. This was a trend. It was shifted by the pandemic. And now it's continuing and will continue. And we'll see the increment of this trend. And it's not only a trend. If I'm talking about e-learning, so we already have universities that most of the course and are online. And this is, again, not a trend. And if we are talking about AI, we talk about education. And I think in the coming years, more and more campuses or virtual campuses will open. So again, use of cloud network. The next one, is a common sense one. If we talk businesses and cloud networking, but, IT and flexibility of having today all the infrastructure in the net is very cost effective. If we need it, we use it. If we don't need it, we don't use it, so we pay less. So if flexible, cost effective, almost all the business, e-commerce are just using it. And if they're not using it, they will use it in the coming years. Because it's, again, I'm not talking about a trend, I'm talking about what I see is coming. And the last one is AI. big data, as we spoke some minutes ago regarding the data that you collect. And it's not only the data, but the management of this data, the understanding of this data happens in the cloud. So AI is not only the ChatGPT and the virtual assistant that we are talking about, and this will increase in a matter of the same shifting that we see now. But I'm talking about companies, I'm talking about big data, I'm talking about real-time decisions, many information coming from many devices and computers and people taking decisions. So again, we're talking about a cloud computer. So this is what I'm trying to show you. And now, do you want to see the future? Yeah, you want to see the future? So I will show you the future. Little kid, 1960 cartoon from Hanna-Barbera. I love it, the Jetson. So if I wanted to see the future, I saw the Jetson, or I had the books of Asimov. The Asimov a little bit speaks about catastrophe. So I will stay with the Jetsons now. But just to show you, 1960, yeah, the flying cars and the flying, the flying suites, they're already working, and we will see it in a couple of minutes. But the holographic theater or holographic way to transport people from one place to another virtually. We will see some things in a couple of minutes. Oh, they talk about the service robots. So today, 2 weeks ago, enter one of the hospitals. Tammy, the robot, was there waiting for me. Just tell me where you need to go. Where is your department? What do you need to see? Who do you need to see? It took me out. Took me to the place. So service robots, I'm talking about one example, in hospitality, in manufacturing, and I'm not talking about the manufactured robots. I'm talking about the service one that goes and helps and enhances the work of the employees. And for sure, the machines and cleaning, automatic cleaning in the house, artificial food that we call the non-meat or more environmental food. And we are talking about distant learning and telemedicine, and it's all you. It's all you. And if I want to show what is happening today, so it's the same. So it's almost the same. So we have the flying machine. This is the picture from CNN from 1 week ago. So we are talking about the flying taxi in Dubai already working, operatable. This is from Hong Kong and in London. They're already working. And it's going to be 1 year, 2 years. I told you 5 years ahead. This is the taxis, the Uber, and the Uber is already, it's already testing. So this means real-time data and secure data and fast data. And for sure, the robots here, I am with Pepper and with Tammy, the robot, doing a conversation. The flying machine, it's already operatable. This is a picture from 1 week ago. It's not a testing, it's already operatable. Again, try to see ahead of you a little bit. And holographic, so 2 weeks ago, fashion show, they brought a panel like we, but some of the people were virtually there, with holographic presence. So, amazing. This will be shifted a little bit in the coming years. And telemedicine, it's here, it's real. VR, AR, Internet of Things connected. We see it in the new cars. We see it in all platforms. Every government speaking about infrastructures today, they take in mind the Internet of Things and the connectivity between things. And for sure, e-commerce will have a shifting. I want to, I have only some minutes, so I will not talk about it, but we will see a shifting in commerce. And I'm talking about physical commerce. I call it e-commerce, but it's not happening. The transaction will be in a location. But what will happen in that location is virtual, is amazing. Again, I'm using AR, try on clothes and shoes. People are buying from the net because they see what they buy. With AI and try-ons will continue, and for sure AI will stay with us, in many ways. And this is again from 1 week ago, they start reading the minds regarding converting our thoughts in prompts, in text. They just teach a machine to understand what we think about, because it's all a monologue inside our heads. Even when we dream, it's a monologue. So they translate, they discover how to translate the meaning of what we are seeing, what we are hearing, reading, and even thinking and dreaming into text. So this is happening now. It's happening. And this is the next revolution. And even, maybe Asimov thought about this, but Jetson didn't. And, well, you are the real heroes in this new era. So I think your networks, your flexibility, your thoughts, your transformation, your optimization, it's crucial for the digital transformation. This is how I see things. And it's the blood, that will shift the body of the digital transformation in the coming years. Just a small lemma, first step toward change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. And as I called it, implementation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Daniel. Really inspiring and showing us what's actually happening today and in the future. Let's see if there's any question from the full house audience. No. Okay. Maybe from one of the panelists. Any questions for Daniel? Specific topic. No. Okay. Let's move in there. So, Sander, if I may start with you. We just saw, a lot of use cases which are happening. The progress that it made. But from your point of view, can you explain to us and the audience and the people who watch this live virtually, what is the role of the network in the enterprise digital transformation? And can you maybe explain what digital transformation for the enterprises is? And the third question is actually, and do we in telco understand?
Okay, 3 questions. Yeah, 45 minutes.
We can go. No, I'm eager to hear.
Well, let me start with a very obvious statement and to build on what Daniel already said. Without connectivity, there is no transformation. It is the one thing that puts everything together. And you see this in everyday's life. We can't be without the internet anymore. You feel suddenly disconnected. So connectivity makes it all happen, and that's part of that digital transformation. It's an enabler. That also means that there's additional challenges there, because if we say connectivity is the one that needs to be always there, it's not yet a global commodity. Yes, here in the Western world, we're pretty well connected, but if you start looking around, you're looking at Latin America as well, you see very different areas where connectivity is not that common. Because of that, we see great deployments now, for instance, with low orbiting satellites, trying to make connectivity more available to a much larger audience. And this is crucial if we want to continue on that digitalization path. Our view on that one is, when we listen to our customers, even though we're like to be forward in terms of technology, there's a real life problem today that needs to be solved. And we do this by trying to map out what kind of connectivity is available anywhere in the world, so that we can build up that connectivity stack that is necessary for the businesses to run. Well, I don't want to repeat you again, but everything is going into the cloud. And that requires a completely different way of looking, a much more flexible, looking at that connectivity layer again. When we help our customers with the rollout of either the network as connectivity only or including SD-WAN, we go on a discovery phase together. When we start to roll these things out, those networks, we find out that there are so many more applications in the network than what Central IT was aware of. There are dozens, hundreds of cloud applications in a global network. Now, what are you going to do with these? Well, that also means a very different way of connecting. As an example, I'll take one of, well, now a customer, back then a prospect, that we helped in the Philippines. They were served by a big international carrier, and their connectivity, particularly to the US, was well. But their HR department was complaining about very poor performance. And when we took a look at what that really was, it was the HR application, the payroll application, which was hosted in a cloud in the Philippines locally. And so by the time that we understood that, and we were able to give them an internet connection from one of the Philippine domestic carriers, that problem was solved. A very effective way. But you can see you really need to have this view on who works from where, what kind of applications do you use in order to make sure that the connectivity meets your requirements. Well, we are listening to our customers as well. What's next? A lot is digitalization, but on top of that is that customer experience. And I think that is really on top of mind with a lot of people. What do we need in terms of connectivity so that we can give our customers a better experience, a more digital experience? With one of our retail customers, they started with us typically within a retail environment with broadband circuits. With wireless as backup. We're now talking to them to go to 50 or 100 meg per store on dedicated circuits because they need that level of performance because they're starting to build a digital in-store experience for their clients. I think it's very much what you just said, right? Using AI to get there. And this is really happening today. And we're starting to transform that network already. And we only deployed that 2 years ago. So it's going really quick. So in summary, connectivity is key. There's a lot of development going on in the connectivity space. Yesterday, we talked briefly about 5G. That helps, but at the same time, we found out there are only 35 companies in the world that have it. So there's a lot of development that still needs to be done, a lot of investment that has to go into it. But if that's not happening, it will stop this digital transformation that's coming. And let me leave it at that for now.
Okay, thank you. Rene, you want to bump in?
Okay, yeah, of course. So, as I mentioned, we are coming more from the operational side. We are actually talking a lot to a large scale of different customers. And I would actually say that I see two types of customers starting to develop. You have ones which are really pure users of the network, and they don't really want to operate it. They are customers who like SaaS services, platform as a service, cloud services, or in any of that shape and form. And what we are starting to see that they are actually even contemplating getting rid completely of their own network, because service providers, specifically with 5G, there are opportunities to expand the network into a location, small branches, right? Anything like it. Why do I need to operate a small branch of network when I have only mobile phones, laptops? They have zero trust agents already installed. They're connecting to cloud endpoint. All what I need is connectivity. Really, the local network operator is all what they are providing. It's pure bandwidth. No other services really on top. The other side to that one is larger enterprises where connectivity forms part of their operational business. It's key to their success. It's these stores which bring the digital experience into their stores. And they want control over their connectivity. They want to ensure that the connectivity is there, that the user experience is really there, and that is really the core factor there. Because at the end of the day, from a high level, nobody really cares about connectivity as such. I care about the end result. Network connectivity drives a result, and the end result is really what makes a company successful or not, right? So, and that is where we are seeing a lot of happening. So now what means that from an operational perspective? A lot around simplifying operations, standardization, automation is massive, important key. Large enterprises are typically a little bit further ahead than smaller enterprises. They lack dramatically in the automation space. And that is roughly where we are currently seeing where customers are going. Cloud, some customers go all in, but reality is probably most customers go some form of hybrid. Especially large ones, either full public cloud or they have their own form of instances somewhere in co-locations or anything like it around the globe. But most would go still some form of hybrid. We don't see the trend that customers go all into a public cloud provider today.
Okay, thank you. One point for you, Daniel. Apologies. Can we truly achieve a fully cloud-enabled network with maybe a usage-based consumption model? Is that, but will we achieve that? Or what do you think?
There is no doubt that we will achieve it because it's needed. So you know, it's like we said before, we are listening to the ground, to the customers, to the people. And just 1 week ago, I heard from New York that in the past month, they in the city, they opened more than 32,000 new businesses. And when you focus in what it means, new businesses, and you think about the businesses themselves, you see that most of them are based on AI, artificial intelligence. They open businesses, you know, blogs, e-commerce, distant education, training, coaching, psychologists online. You know, the things comes from the ground, and you need to achieve this goal. Yeah.
But how fast can we go? I mean, so someone mentioned it already. I mean, you know, we have the underlying layer on the connectivity. You know, the 5G satellite was mentioned, which is all fine in the Western world, Asia as well. I mean, they're probably a bit faster than we in Europe, but I mean, we have Africa. We have so much more, which is nice for growth. Which, you know, all our models, all our presentations are full with the massive growth which is there, and which we never seen or can even imagine how big the growth will be. But is it going in the right pace, or are we too slow? And maybe, Chairman, I can come to you. Well, I mean, especially in Asia, how do you see the situation there? You know, and how fast can we get to the point that we get a full, you know, for all the customers and for all the consumption, you know, to see and to feel the speed we're going.
Thank you, Eric. Well, from what I see in Asia, I mean, if you're talking about all the automations, right, digital transformation, I mean, a couple of years ago, Asia is a bit lagging behind the Western part of the world, but in Asia, it's been catching up in a very fast pace. If you look at Indonesia, for example, the last couple of years, they invest a lot of different data centers in Indonesia. I mean, for me, it seems like to be already oversupplied. But the thing is, right, they are catching up. So new guys in the market, right, they offer co-locations, resources available. And the next thing they want to ask themselves is, hey, how can I different from the other one? How can I stand out from the cloud? I saw so many people doing data center now. Then they start asking about questions like, hey, I should offer networking from the data center connectivities, right? Through automations, right? Through software-defined things. That could be software-defined SDN, SD-WAN, all that sort of thing. And then they start talking about software-defined data center, software-defined meet-me room, right? That sort of things are happening. So the pace is very fast because they don't have anything legacy behind. So when they started to build that data center network, and then everything, all the network thing is starting from greenfield, they can have a lot of new ideas to introduce software-defined X into their service offering. You know, the customer in Asia, they are very happy to see that because number one, they understand the importance of flexibility. Now everything is on the cloud, located in the data center. So the next question they will ask, hey, what about the network service provider? Are they ready to match the cloud offering? I mean, all the enterprise customers are already spoiled by the sole flexibility by offering from those big public cloud players, right? In terms of flexibility, in terms of the service term, right? Turn up and turn down the service anytime you want. So everything can be done through online portal. And they're expecting network provider doing similar things. Hey, this is what the cloud can offer. Mr. Network Provider, are we going to be able to catch it up? And then that's why we're talking about automation, right? We're talking about integration with different clouds. Now, we can see a lot more cloud players now entering Asia, right? Usually there's in headquarters or somewhere else, but now they're moving into localized. Now it creates a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges for those players. Data sovereignty, right? A lot of people is not allowed data to move outside their own countries. A lot of things happening, restricting the service operator to find a better way to serve the end customer. And the end customer obviously is very concerned about security, flexibility, and all that. Now, in Asia, you're talking about AI, right? Because you mentioned AI earlier. People are interested in that because of the overwhelming the news coverage of that generative AI, right? The ChatGPT things. But when we talk about the normal AI, I mean, we're still talking about whether we as a service provider can use that AI into part of our operation as well. Something that we're doing it right now. Yeah, if you've got some time, we can cover it in the next question. But there's something happening in a big way in Asia.
Okay, thank you. Nicholas, your part of the world.
Yes. Hello. Now it's better. Yes. Unfortunately, in our region, we are far away of digitalization and automation. That's the reason why our main focus was to get all information from our local access providers and automate within our system. We have been the only carrier in the Latin American region who developed a tool that follows up all the life cycle of the service, because we saw that demand of the end customers. So something that we are focusing on is on the AI. We are applying AI in the quotation process so far. So that's something we are already doing. So from our end, we are 100% focused on that, and we are expecting that the pace in the Latin American region increase.
Okay, thank you. It's good to do this trip around the world to see where we're all standing. Okay, moving on, gentlemen. Last thing, a little bit more about the network and service, and considering that 80% of the time customers request interconnections all the way to the premises. I mean, you just mentioned it, and you want to control it, and the customer want to see exactly. Exactly. So maybe Sander, if I can come to you, how are you addressing this through your existing automated tools, and what kind of developments have you done to improve or change existing commercial processes? Because it is not easy. I mean, we can have numerous examples, but I know that you have a very nice platform. So maybe you can give us a peek on it.
Yeah, we're trying to bring this all together. I think a very similar vision with August is that for the last 2 decades, Xperia has been mapping out for all of our supplying partners around the world what I call the 3 W's: the who, what, where, works well at the internet, www. And when we started, we've already found out that a lot of the local access suppliers, they don't always know exactly where it is. Addresses are not as common everywhere around the world. And so the way that we understand that was building a platform so that we could mimic whatever understanding they had on connectivity and where that was available. And so we could do that, for instance, with building lists on net, near net. That's an obvious one, but also for wireless towers, to mapping out the radius subject to line of sight, but then we know that supply can supply at that particular area. And polygons, literally drawing on the map saying, okay, I can supply services here that helps us to understand what it is. So this is what we started about 15, 20 years ago and continue to develop that. Our supplying partners, they have their own portal where they can see the development and the interest in their network services, how much business they win out of that one, but also it helps us to understand the development of those networks so that that whole ecosystem continues. Well, if I then see where we are today, there's a lot of focus on APIs as well. So it's great that if we have the data in our platform and manage it for them, that's one way. But if you really want to stay up to date quicker, you're going to do it through APIs, but now we can pull the data straight out of their systems. From the thousands of suppliers that we have hundreds of APIs. And that doesn't mean that we can't handle more. It simply shows you that those supplier data, their own data is not ready yet to be shared in such a digital way. And so we started an initiative with the MEF now, where we're going to be talking about automation, talking about standardization to really help a lot of those partners that we have in country to relook at their data, because we love data. Data is great, but if the data isn't clean, you can't do much with it. So what does that mean, and how can we then interconnect so that it's easier for them to share with us, and we have real-time data to build our knowledge on, build up proposal on. That's what we're working on.
Okay, talking about standardization, Ethan. Standardization and the importance of standards is often discussed. I mean, that's what we're doing here actually. So, what's your take on it? Where do the APIs and the network automation for the enterprise kick in, and what does it mean for the organization, and especially from a people and process point of view?
I mean, I think it needs to be. I think, first of all, thanks so much to everyone for their contributions already in the conversation. And I really, as we look to the future across the networks and across the industry and just life in general, I think we need to be thinking about the forward planning and, mentioning on the digital transformation. I'd love if more people and more companies were thinking about their digital transformation in such a fantastic way. But one of those key areas that we need to be addressing, and as Xander mentioned, is APIs. I think MEF are doing a really great job to try and pull the industry together. Famously, telco though is an industry that likes to cooperate extensively and not fracture in any way. We're working very closely with MEF to try and be a part of shaping what that means from our perspective as the software integrators, and getting in depth into many different enterprises in a way that maybe people aren't as privy to this information. And I think that there definitely is an appetite for it there, and I think it's something that we're moving in the right direction, if ever a little bit slowly, and with some of the big players kind of making that move, hopefully we'll see a little bit more, and be able to continue on with the growth, so we can all work together nicely and play.
What we didn't touched on yet already is the educational part, because we state this is what the customer wants, but on the other hand, we see, and we just heard it, what the future in 30 years is, right? Daniel, you just showed us, but they don't know it, and that means so that there is there should be a good balance in also on the education. What's going to happen? What's out there? What does it mean? Especially the digital transformation within your company. How does it work? And where do we need to transform? And of course, that could be for the bigger the bigger companies, as you mentioned. It is they're putting a lot of effort in their money. But Rene, maybe you could say something about how much do we need to educate them, because demand doesn't come out from the blue sky, or that somebody like Daniel tells us, hey, this is the future. There is a huge amount of education there, I think.
Yes. So the educational demand is clearly there. There's no question about it. But I'm not even sure if we need to do too much about it. we are already in the middle of massive transformation there. Schools in the educational sector are completely under pressure to change, to adapt. I'm living in Ireland, and the educational system in Ireland is very traditional. And over here in Germany, same thing, a lot in the European countries. Very traditional. It's very knowledge-based. You learn ABC. That is what you're getting questioned about. That is what your exams are asking from you. What we see, what the future is going to bring us, that knowledge is going to be readily available to us in some shape or form. So I need to know far more about how to interact with the different systems, how they work, what strengths they have, what weaknesses they have. We have seen over the last couple of months and weeks, AIs are not perfect. Sometimes they lie, sometimes they help, sometimes they're more a hindrance. That is going to continue. So the educational sector needs to change. And in enterprises, well, what that translates to, there's a huge resource lack, specifically here in Europe, on questions around automation. You guys are talking about a lot of APIs. We see a lot of network operators which don't have any coding skills. Still, they're 2023. They are traditionally grown up, similar to you, might have worked on an old mainframe many years ago, but they went a different path, right? And they're still looking at networking in a very traditional method, let's put that way, right? So not in a programmatic way. So a lot of that is going to drive that change. And that pressure is going to build up very fast over the future. And the pressure is already there. We already see customers who are moving services out from enterprises into service providers because they don't have the necessary resources internally anymore. So I'm not too sure how much we actually need to push. I think that is going to be a lot of pull there happening already.
Okay, maybe more than enough pull to even to
look, you know, for certain people it's not going to be fast enough. That's for sure.
if anything, I'd sorry, just to add on it slightly is I think we do need to be pushing a bit more for this, because I think we're reaching a really unexpected and weird impasse with regards to the end user, which is we all grew up in this crazy time of transformation and digitalization and the advent of the internet, etc. But we've all done such a great job of making systems user friendly and making things accessible, and even, you know, we have our kids at home, they're all using things quite quickly, but there is no understanding, exactly like the traditional way of having no code in a network. For younger people coming up, have no understanding of have a file library. Ask a 15-year-old who can absolutely whiz around and do something to go and find something in the C drive, or, you know, uninstall and install a program without just dragging and dropping it into applications. And I think we as the kind of, you know, incumbent generation in charge of this have done such an amazing job that it might come back to bite us. So I think we do need to be addressing that in the future as well, as a point.
Chairman, do you want to pump in?
I think there's something that we can think about whether we can see the future. I mean, we now talk about Web3 now. So Web3 is something happening. So what that mean? It means different things to different people. We don't have a formal definition, but from what I understand from Web3 is talking about decentralization. Wow, it's a big word, decentralization. We all run on the centralized organization, right? And then what's happening is decentralizing. People start thinking about, I don't want a single entity to keep everything, to own anything. I want decentralization. So the young generation, right, you mentioned, if they started with this sort of background, thinking, I think I like decentralization. I don't like someone can dominate everything. I don't like this big company owning all the data, right? Search engines is them, everything is them. I want control. It's going to happen. It's happening. In what form or shape, we don't know, but we are part of it. We can define what that means. What we're doing now, actually, under the map, right? We are proposing something like a decentralized telecom network. So we think even a network a global network collaborating with different tier 1, tier 2 telcos centralized ways, but we can do it through a decentralized way. So let's see how it goes. Let's see, put it together. I mean, that's what you said. We can push our idea to the world, to all the different partners, and see whether do you like this? Do you think this is the way to go in the future? Do you think this is what Web3 decentralized telecom network means? If you're okay, if you're not okay, just discuss. So I think this is going to happen. It's happening now. I mean, in a big way.
Okay, thank you. Nicholas, I mean, we talked about AI tipped on ML and as essential tools actually for the next generation networks. But what do you think that, can you give us an example where you think, and now we're going a bit again to the future again, where do you think, what would be your wish that the network or could give actually to make everything more better, happier, and so what would be your wish?
First of all, in our region in Latin America, time response. Nowadays, it could be really hard starting with the basics, getting a quote request. So we are still working to figure it out and to solve the basics. That is trying to get a quote within maybe less than 1 week. So with automation, something that we will achieve, for example, with APIs, we are reducing time response. Nowadays, we can get the price online. That few months, years ago, if you sent an RFP to a local access provider, maybe it could take you not only days, we're talking about weeks, or in some cases, months. With automation, we are reducing briefcase time, we are improving and reducing times and so on. So we think that we need to put focus on automation. It is really key, and also AI. Otherwise, we will not be able to achieve end customers' needs.
Okay. Daniel, future workforce. What does it mean for us, for the people working with it? So robotics and intelligent technologies reshaping the organization's for future management style, for sure. I mean, we need not only to adapt, but we need to transform as well, right? That's what's going to happen. So what do you think we can expect more from it, or what's out there now? What can we expect? Can we expect coming towards us?
I want to give two answers. One of your last question before, and regarding education and what it's in us to do. You know, education, it's responsibility. And we as huge companies that has so much data in control of the net, of the things that are going, have our responsibility, maybe if we take it. And this is the place to say it, you know, in the career community, you are doing a wonderful job. I think it's amazing network and place to change a little bit the thinking of you as a big companies. And I can tell you just an example. If in around on SA, we take sustainability as a very important matter. So when I think about solutions, one of the things that I measure is sustainable. You know, it's making a world a better place. It's educating. It's changing a little bit for the better. So I said, let's go for it. Okay, it's technology. It's changing, transformation, innovation, and it's sustainable. So let's go for it. So this is regarding the education thing. And one of the things regarding AI, we're embracing we're embracing AI and educating our people how to use these kind of tools to optimize processes. And I think you are in the same path, I'm sure. Regarding your question, we are going to change in the workforce, in the workplace, in the work systems, because as I told you before, people are working from a distance, and some of the industries, the people even are not returning to work physically, you know. And then some companies are really changing the way the people work.
Even governments are promoting it.
Sure, why not? More clean, less energy, more time with your family if you do the things you need to do and you educate yourself to work in a distance, and you will live better. You don't need to, but anyway, you ask something that is very much related to you, to all of you, and is the cooperation, because you will work in a distance, but you need to feel your team. You anyway need to cooperate. You don't work alone. You're not a mine, you work with a team of people. You work in projects. You work in an environment, and this is positive, and we need to keep it. So much of the things that will happen will be anyway related to community, to communication, to teamwork, and again, all the other things like service robots and automation and APIs and control and data, and it will be tools in our toolbox as part of what we are doing. And again, networking, yeah, but the communication is essential part of the workspace, of the future workspace. And then this is what I think.
Okay, thank you. Looking a little bit at the time, guys, what I would like to hear from you, all of you, maybe you can start, and I will end with Sander being the sponsor of this panel session. Just a closing round, so give everybody a quick minute to say what would be your closing statement on the networks, on and the digital transformation, what we're going through, or what they have to look out for.
Yeah, no, actually, I would like to continue a little bit, but I totally agree with what you said with the digital transformation which is going on with remote work or wherever we are going to work from in the future, right? With whatever tools we're going to use. The human is still the talking ape. Communication is key to what we are doing. It's key to the way we are living. It's giving meaning to what we do. So whatever we do in the carrier community to bring us closer together, to enable us to communicate with the people who we care, people who we are working with on a daily basis, I think that is going to be the key. And we are in the unique business of knowing how to connect people internationally. So let's use that expertise and try to make all of that happening in a meaningful way in the future.
Thank you. Ethan?
Yeah, I think we're in a unique space as being the providers of that connectivity and seeing its value so quickly. As I think we're slightly ahead of the curve compared to different industries and living in the future, as you said. To get a little bit more kind of high level, I think we as a society need to be thinking a bit deeper about what this actually means, because it's coming incredibly fast, and things like education will increase, but the more automation we have, I think Bill Gates is talking quite often about a robot tax, and if we're creating or taking away roles from the person, we're creating opportunities where companies can optimize and be more efficient. We need to be thinking what that means within our traditional structures. And I'm all for Adorno's dream of increased leisure time with increased capitalism, but I think it's really something wider for us to be thinking about as we move forward.
Okay, Nicholas?
Yes, just two key takeaways. We need to put focus on automation, standardization, and the reason is not to reduce manpower, but to increase efficiency internally.
Okay, thank you, John.
Well, I think the world is changing in a way that we barely catching up to understand what's happening. Generative AI, accelerated computing. And I've heard some comment talking about data center is not going to be a server farm, it's going to become a computer. The whole data center become a computer, part of the network component. So this is beyond our original understanding of telecommunication, right? Isn't it? Connectivity, but it's different. So I think what we need to do, right, through what we can do, automation, right, and all the collaboration, standard, right, between carriers, right, and API, this sort of thing, need to make it more effective. So that's why I'm a full believer in collaboration, in automation, in what shape or form. So let's get all the carrier together and make it works. I think that's very important.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to see, just small things, really, but only two, that I want you to think, because it's not my expertise, but I want to see two things. One is optimization, cost effectiveness and speed, and I think optimization is part of what you asked before. What about Africa? What about you? What about speed? So optimization? I think it's the key. Maybe using AI, maybe use bit optimization of the data, optimization of the speed of the data transfer. This is one thing. And the second one is security. And because I'm shocked when I am hearing people and losing money because the phishing SMS passing or emails or whatever. And I think this needs to be, 2023. We have so much power. We have so much software, clouds and the data. We see it. We can control it. We can analyze it. How can an old person be fished by someone in another country? And so this kind of optimization and security, I think it's huge important.
Thank you. Sander.
Statement. Yeah, and I love the topic today, right? Network, and for the enterprise, the digital transformation, and we had some really big topics. Yeah. I love your examples about what the future is going to bring, and it's good that we have that, as a point on the horizon to get to. I think my closing statement for today is that you need to think about digital transformation, or you will, run behind your competition. But at the same time, don't get overly ambitious trying to do it all in one big thing. Run it down in smaller steps, or break it down in smaller steps, and then move forward as you go. In today's panel session as well, you heard about the big transformational topics about AI, but at the same time, we're listening to it takes me 4 weeks to get a quote. I'm trying to fix that part. And that is still true as well. To your point, connectivity is not everywhere yet. We need to optimize that so that everybody has access to it. And today, only 65% of the world has access to the internet. It's a fact. So to go into this new digital transformation is highly complex. What we see is that with the larger customers that we have today, when we roll out this local breakout internet, we're using 300-400 individual networks to build that internet to support our application landscape. That's highly complex. So at the same time, break it down in small steps, but also don't try to do it all yourself. Get an expert there that can help you on the transformational journey.
Thank you so much. And with those words, we would like to close this panel session, because the next one is waiting already in 10 minutes. So I would like to thank sincerely my fellow panelists. Thank you so much for sharing and for joining and explaining and tipping a bit of the future, what's ahead of us, but also to understand the role and the importance of the network in a digital transformation, and what does it mean in, for, and with the enterprises. That was the focus of today. So thank you so much. I would like to thank sincerely and dearly Experience Sander. Thank you very much for sponsoring this session. And for you there, thank you so much for joining. I'll see you back in a couple of minutes, and my voice will